Hey guys, Dr. B here. I just wanted to bring you another quick video today, and I'd like to talk a little bit about concentric versus eccentric muscle contraction. Now that the summer is upon us, a lot of us are hitting the gym hard, and so I'd really like to kind of give you some tips on how to make the most out of your workout. And so let's get right into it. Now, the concentric muscle contraction is going to be when you're shortening the muscle length while it's under load, and then the eccentric phase is going to be when you're lengthening the muscle tissue under load. So a good example here is just going to be the classic bicep curl. So when you're taking the dumbbell and you're flexing your elbow and contracting that bicep, you're shortening the length of that muscle tissue, and then that's the concentric phase, and then the eccentric phase is going to be when you bring it back to your starting position and you lengthen that tissue while it's still under load. Oftentimes, a lot of us when we're in the gym, we really hit the concentric phase really hard, and we kind of just leave the eccentric phase by the wayside. We just let gravity take over, and we don't take our time during both phases of the muscle contraction, which is actually going to give us the most benefit. So I'll kind of tell you why now that the eccentric phase is so important and why you shouldn't neglect it during your workout. So first off, let's start off by saying that during the eccentric phase, you're stronger, point blank. Anywhere from maybe 1.5 to 2 times stronger during the eccentric phase. And a good example of this to demonstrate would just be the bench press. So let's just say, for instance, your 1 rep max is 200 pounds. Well, you probably have no problem actually lowering that 200 pounds down to your chest. It's the concentric phase of pushing it back up to where you started that's the problem. So, like I said, you're stronger during the eccentric phase. Also, it's a fact that you build more muscle mass more quickly during eccentric contraction. Thirdly, it requires less energy to perform an eccentric muscle contraction. So let's say you're doing deep squats, right? And let's say maybe you're, just about to give out on like a rep 5 and you just don't have any more energy. Well, are you giving out on the eccentric phase, which is lowering down into the squat? Most likely not. It's usually that concentric phase when you burst up out of the squat back to the starting position. That's going to be where you have the problem. So also a very important benefit of doing eccentric muscle contractions is going to be the fact that it strengthens the tendon. Now, oftentimes when you strain a muscle, it's usually the musculotendinous junction that's affected, and that is the area where the muscle belly itself transitions to the tendon, which attaches to the bone. So oftentimes, this gets injured and it takes a little while to heal just because the blood supply is not as great to that area. So anytime you can strengthen the integrity of that tendon, that's going to benefit you in the long run. And also the last point I'd like to mention is that eccentric muscle contractions can actually improve your range of motion. There are research studies out there that show muscle contractions can actually improve your hip range of motion up to about 22%. And as far as the other joints in the body are concerned, kind of an average across the board, somewhere around like maybe 10 to 12% increase in your range of motion. So don't forget your eccentrics. Have fun out there. Be safe while you're working out. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me on Instagram @SportsPod or Twitter @BSportsPod, #AskDrB. Have a good one.